Hoosiers and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Đâu rồi,
Gabe
không cần
Aker
cái đấy đây
joined
à?
along by Shane Miller here on Big Ten Plus. And Shane, Ohio State's offense really showed out here in the first game.
Không cần cái đấy lên đây à?
Yeah, they had, I think, 5 or 6 hits and 4 home runs. So their hits came up big. They had base runners. First couple innings took them a minute, but they settled in and ended up scoring quite a few runs. Lauren Butte had an amazing game, shutting down the Indiana offense to just 1 run.
Kennedy K on the circle for the Buckeyes here in game number 2 today. First pitch going to get fouled back by Brianna Copeland, who was pitching for the Hoosiers back in game 1.
While Kennedy K is a junior, she has spent a lot of her career here injured. This is her first season that she's healthy and has the full go to pitch. She's been doing a pretty solid job, eating up some solid innings. She was the pitcher against their big win against Missouri earlier this year, and she seems to keep getting stronger as the season's going on.
Buckeyes lineup in the field stays the same.
Rồi, được rồi.
Hoosiers have a few different players, moved around a little bit. So we have an 0-2 count. First batter in this game. Bat one high, 1-2 count.
Kay will come at them with a lot of curveballs. She works in and out, and she does have that rise ball. Tends to be high, but can generate some swings and misses. She's pretty solid speed. They settled in and ended up scoring quite a few runs. Lauren Butte had an amazing game, shutting down the Indiana offense to just 1 run.
Kennedy K on the circle for the Buckeyes here in game number 2 today. First pitch going to get fouled back by Brianna Copeland, who was pitching for the Hoosiers back in game 1.
While Kennedy K is a junior, she has spent a lot of her career
Nhi
here
ơi, Nhi xuống đây, Nhi
injured.
ngã rồi
This is
này.
her first season that she's healthy and has the full go to pitch. She's been doing a pretty solid job, eating up some solid innings. She was the pitcher against their big win against Missouri earlier this year, and she seems to keep getting stronger as the season's going on.
Buckeyes lineup in the field stays the same. Hoosiers have a few different players, moved around a little bit. So we have an 0-2 count. First batter in this game.
Nhi ơi,
Bat one high,
xuống
1-2
đây
count.
con.
Kay will come at them
Con
with a
xuống
lot
đây
of
không mẹ mắng
curveballs.
cho nào.
She works in and out, and she does have that rise ball. Tends to be high, but can generate some swings and misses. She's
Con làm gì trên
pretty
đấy?
solid speed as well.
Đi xuống đây nào,
Back
mẹ
in
không
the
nhìn thấy con
mid-60s.
ngã đấy.
That one going to pop
Ai
up
mà
in the
tự lên đấy?
infield near first, and making the catch on that one, Reagan Milliken.
We saw a lot of pop-ups in the last game, and with Kennedy's style, I'm guessing we'll see a lot of the same, especially with these hitters that have extra base power. Sometimes that's a side effect, is that you do tend to get some pop-ups out of that.
Okay, with a 4.30 ERA this year, 7-2 record with the
Con đi
Buckeyes
xuống đây nhanh.
this season. First pitch going to be a ball.
There's that rise ball again. Looks like it's moving nicely.
Taylor Minnick batting second for the Hoosiers once again. Very dangerous hitter for Indiana. That pitch is going to be called a strike.
And she will come in with that screwball quite often as well. It's a good pitch on the corner for her.
Con đi
Minnick
xuống
top
đây
5
nào,
in
mẹ
a
không
lot
được
of
con
the
tự ý
key
lên thế
offensive
đâu.
categories in the Big Ten.
Con ơi,
Here's the pitch. That one's going to be high. 2-1 count now.
She didn't do a lot of damage last game with her bat, but she did get on base multiple times, getting walked.
When it really felt like she was working the count too.
She is. She does a great job, and that shows why her on-base percentage is in the top in the country.
That one's going to ground over to short. Throw on target. Out number 2. Minnick gets out, grounding out to short.
Both coaches have mentioned that the key to winning today is going to be to making those those routine plays very cleanly. There's no room for those errors because of the big bats. You just can't give away free base runners with those extra base hits, with the possibility of those.
Quartercrack's making the throw for the Buckeyes. There's that ball's driven into left field line, not able to get a hand on that. It's going to be a standing double here for Avery Parker.
That's those extra base hits we were talking about.
Yeah, this is an Indiana offense that you definitely don't want to get going. Ohio State did a good job in the first game of not giving them a whole lot of opportunities, but definitely want to stick to that game plan in game number 2.
Yeah, and the key is going to be for Kay is to keep the ball low and to keep it on the sides of the plate. That last pitch there was a little over the middle, and with hitters like Indiana, they're going to take advantage of that.
Lena Wilkeson up for the Hoosiers in the 0-1 count.
Again, Molina is a transfer from Ohio State. She's very familiar with playing here.
351 average with runners in scoring position this year. That one going to be off the plate, called for a ball.
Kay will come at them a little more with that off-speed pitch like she did just there than we saw from Boutte in the last game.
Wilkeson with over 1,000 OPS. And clean up here for the Hoosiers. Here's the pitch, swing and a miss, 1-2 count.
There's that nice rise ball. Can generate those swings and misses. That's where a lot of her swings and misses will come from, is that rise ball.
One more out gets the Buckeyes out of this first inning. That pitch is going to be called a ball, 2-2.
Just missed that pitch. I think something that is a big adjustment from high school to college pitching is that strike zone that is a little tighter than what they may see.
It's like a swinging bunt there. Tries to beat out at first, and the Hoosiers are going to
con tự
score
ngã
on
đấy nhá.
that
Ai bảo
error.
con trèo lên đấy. Đi xuống.
Parker able to get home and
Tự con
Wilson
trèo
able
lên,
to
tự con
get
xuống
on
đi.
base there.
Mẹ con bảo con lên đấy đâu.
So like because of it being such a slow roller and Kay having to move pretty far off the mound to get that, it was a very rushed play, and that's the sloppy gameplay that the Buckeyes aren't going to be able to get away with.
Hoosiers strike first now. Alex Cooper
Ai bảo con đi
up
lên
to bat for
đấy.
Indiana.
Xuống đây.
Last game batted 9th, moved up in the order. That one going to be called for a strike. 0-1.
Cooper had a nice game last game defensively as well, making some really nice plays at shortstop.
And rewarded for that here in game number 2. Here's the 0-1 delivery. Swung on and fouled back. 0-2 now, 2 outs. Wilkeson on first for the Hoosiers.
Kay is doing a good job of getting ahead on the hitters and throwing strikes.
Here's the 0-2. Swung on and missed. Gonna be a strikeout for Kay to end the top of the first inning. Hoosiers.
Con nói gì? Hả? Con lại va vào đâu à? Với mẹ thổi chưa?
Looks like the sun is shining, but the wind has picked up
Được
in
rồi,
this
con lại
game.
mẹ thổi vội hết rồi.
Flags are blowing pretty strong towards the outfield fence, which I think both offenses may appreciate that a little bit.
Storm here supposed to happen in Columbus tomorrow. Reason why there's a doubleheader today is that's called a ball. 3-0 count for the leadoff hitter.
So both teams will have an off day tomorrow, which is nice before they meet up again on Monday.
Here's the 3-0 pitch. That's going to be outside and a leadoff walk for Parisian.
Nào con lên con kéo rèm lên cho mẹ nào.
So starting out with 4 straight balls is a little bit of a red flag. Sometimes can indicate
Thế quả trứng của
maybe
con
she
đâu hết
warm up
rồi.
enough, or maybe they're just not
Hả?
connecting with the pitch calling there. Barry's going to need to hone it in quickly before the Buckeyes start taking advantage of that.
Little room for error against this Buckeyes offense, but hooked 7 on the Hoosiers in the first game today. Sammy Buick up to bat. She had a home run earlier.
Đâu, đâu, đâu.
Both Buick
mẹ
and
bảo là con muốn
Parisian
mẹ bế
are
đúng không?
transfers
Thì con gọi là
from Miami,
Nana.
came over with Coach 2K.
À,
Had really solid
đấy là
years at Miami there
cái màn của
and
bác.
doing great here as
Không gọi để
Buckeyes
ở kia
this
đúng
year.
không? Con này bác cắt ở đấy.
Parisian with 2 stolen bases on the year at first base right now.
It doesn't appear that
Ừ, cái màn mà.
2K steals a lot of bases. I think she relies on the bats to get the runners moving, which
Nào.
they've proven they're
Không khóc.
doing a
Con phải
good job
nói
at.
thì mẹ mới hiểu con muốn gì. Con muốn mẹ ôm đúng
And on
không?
the flip
Bế
side,
lên đây đúng không?
Hoosiers
Ừ, thế con
heading
bảo
into today,
ôm.
3rd in the Big Ten in stolen
Con
bases.
nói. Con nói sao?
That one's going to be
Đấy,
called a
cái
ball, 3-0 now.
Mở. Mở. Đấy,
We're
con
going
mở
on
đi,
7
con tự làm
straight
được mà.
balls here.
Con không khóc nhá, khóc không giải quyết được vấn đề, con phải nói thì mẹ mới hiểu nhớ chưa?
You got to imagine she might be a little nervous with the Buckeyes
Đây, mẹ
having
cho con lên
hit 4
ngồi ở
home
đây
runs in the
gì?
previous game.
Con
She
thích
don't
ngồi
want
đây
to be
đúng
too
không?
careful.
Đồng ý, mẹ cho
Be
con
just
lên
as
luôn.
damaging.
That's going to be called for the first strike against the Buckeyes today. 3-1 count now.
Bà ơi á. Bà ơi.
3-1 pitch. Going to be called for a strike as well, and we got a full count now.
It looks like she's really throwing
Sao rồi, vậy tí nữa mẹ
all
hả?
sides of the plate.
Đấy,
I've
con
seen
ngồi vào đấy.
a rise ball, change up, screwball, and curveball come out of her.
Very dominant this year for 2-1-9. Here's the payoff pitch. That one loops into shallow center, and
Ừ,
on
nhá.
the catch was Alex Cooper. Parisian's going to stay at first.
She got pretty far off there, I think, thinking that was going to drop.
Bị
It's
đau
a
tay.
somewhat close tag play there.
Bị chuột rút đây này.
Now 3-hole hitter Cami Quartercracks up to bat for
Đừng
the
xuống đất, đừng xuống
Buckeyes.
cho mẹ để mẹ bóp đã. Đừng xuống không mẹ đau tay nào mẹ không đỡ được.
389
Con tự
on
đứng
the
xuống đã.
season for
Đừng
Ohio
xuống đất
State.
đã, nhanh. Ai,
First pitch from Barry. That one going to get called for a strike.
Looks like Barry is coming in with that changeup. That seems to be her most consistent
đây này mẹ cho ngồi
pitch
đây.
at the moment.
There are times in the first game where the Buckeyes struggled a little bit with that changeup too.
Yeah, Reyes came in for Copeland and had a really solid changeup, was just barely missing the strike zone, which the Buckeyes took advantage of when that happened. But when that ball came in as a strike, they really couldn't do anything with it.
Here's the 1-0 pitch to Quartercracks. Going to be called as a ball, 1-1 now. Quartercracks with a 338 batting average with runners on base this season.
Không lấy nữa, đến giờ ăn cơm để ăn con ạ.
There's the 1-1 pitch. That going into left center field. Center fielder called off, and making the grab on that one is Taylor Minnick for out number 2.
And again, Parisian stuck at first, with that ball being in the air.
Nghĩ cho mẹ xem nào. Bỏ tay ra cho mẹ làm. Mẹ đang làm.
Jazzy Burns, the catcher for the Buckeyes.
Làm.
Sophomore right-hander up to bat now for Ohio State with 2 outs. And back in the first game, hit very well with 2
Nào
outs.
bỏ tay ra cho mẹ làm. Mẹ đang làm dở tay nào Nhi? Là mẹ
First
không
pitch
đồng
in
ý
there for
đâu.
a strike, 0-1 count.
Jazzy Burns has had a great year with home runs,
Không mẹ cho xuống
leading
đây.
the team with 14.
The 0-1 pitch goes deep into right center field, bounces off of a wall. Burns going to stay at first, and heading home is Parisian. She slides down, and that's going to be a Buckeyes run as Burns gets to second, and we got a tie ball game here in the first inning.
Không. Không lấy được.
I'm surprised
Cái gì mẹ cho nghịch thì mẹ đồng
2K
ý.
sent Parisian. She
Không,
ended
mẹ
up
lấy mẹ đánh cho
making
chuyện
it
gì nữa. Phải xin
off of
phép
a
mẹ
bad
chứ.
throw, but that was about to be a really close play at the plate.
Sao đấy?
I
Cái này
like
có
the
được sờ vào không?
aggressiveness there at the beginning of the ball game, though. You gotta take those
Không được
chances.
sờ vào đây,
is
nhớ
what you
chưa?
gotta do. And that throw to home allows Burns to get to second.
Mẹ đang làm
Another runner in scoring
sờ vào
position.
mẹ đánh đấy.
Burns with her 46th RBI of this season. Reagan Milliken up to bat now for the Buckeyes.
Reagan was one of those with a shot over center field last game.
First pitch, far outside of the plate.
Con ngồi yên cho mẹ làm nhớ chưa? Mẹ đang làm dở tay, con không được động vào đỡ đâu. Nào bỏ
Again,
tay
with that
ra.
run scoring, we want to see how Barry responds to this.
Con không được sờ vào chỗ mẹ đang làm
What
việc
the
mà.
Hoosiers need is for her to throw strikes to keep them in the game.
Here's the 1-0 pitch. Going to be called for a strike, 1-1 count now. Buckeyes sitting at number 22 in the country right now. They've scheduled some pretty tough games, including a tight one against number 1 in the country, Texas, earlier on this season. It's going to be a swing and a miss, 1-2 count now.
There's that changeup that she managed to get up into the strike zone. Changeups are so important in softball. It's all about timing. And playing around with that timing can make it so much harder for a pitcher to hit, or for a hitter to make contact.
Got 1-2 just off the plate now,
Đi xuống nhá.
2-2 count.
Ăn nhá. Rồi đi xuống.
Burns on second base,
18,
2 outs.
18, 2 tiếng nữa. 10 giờ 49, 11 giờ 49, 12 giờ 49 mới xong. 12 giờ 49 mới xong à? 2 tiếng nữa cơ mà.
Here comes a pitch from Barry. That one fouled backwards over the press box. It's the roof.
Did see a lot of foul balls out of the Buckeyes last game. I think that's a great way to stay alive with 2 strikes, to find that pitch that they can connect with.
Buckeyes with a runner in scoring position. Here's the pitch, and she got hit with that one. Milliken gonna take her base at first.
I think Coach Stanton has a question about whether that was maybe a foul ball instead of
Nhà
a
nào cái tay mẹ đau mẹ không bế được con đâu.
Well, we saw a few hit by pitches back in the first game as well.
a very quick conference there.
Sáng nay chưa thơm mẹ đúng không?
Milliken gonna stay at first. Burns on second. Up to bat now for Ohio State. Second baseman Caitlin Farley.
Looks like they're conferring again to make sure.
Đi ra gấp chăn cho ba, gấp chăn cho ba để đi xuống nhá. Cho mẹ gấp cái chăn cho ba vào.
Yeah, looks like they're going to review this one.
Gấp vào cho ba đi.
And this is a pretty big call, even though it is in the first inning. Indiana struggling a little bit against the Buckeyes in these
Đi xuống nào.
2-out counts, and Buckeyes with a whole lot of hitters that can do a lot of damage.
Cái gì đi xuống còn gì.
Being that all their runs scored on 2 outs. It's nice that we now have the ability to look at those closely so that we can make the right call.
And then let's say that this play does stand right now, runners on first and second. When you're thinking about it from a pitcher standpoint, Shane, what should Barry try to do here if there are 2 runners on first and second with 2 outs?
I mean, a strikeout's always huge, but you don't necessarily need a strikeout here. Anything that isn't hit really solid is going to help her out. Maybe a ground ball in the infield, maybe a pop-up. Ohio State seems to hit a lot of pop-ups as they swing so hard. So just something that the defense can do something with. Throwing balls, 6 inches outside of the zone does not help her right now. So really coming at them, not necessarily throwing it down the middle and letting them do their damage with it, but giving their defense a chance. Looks like the call stands that she was hit by the pitch.
Milliken will stay at first base.
Looks like she's shaking out her hand, so we know that the ball made contact there. And I know that the hand is considered part of the bat in many cases, but I think because Milliken did pull back and try to get out of the way, that makes that call stand.
Farley at bat now for the Buckeyes. Barry with the pitch, gonna be a ball.
Sometimes you'll see Farley slapping in this situation. That it's great for when there's no one on base, but in this situation, she needs something that gets through the outfield to allow all the runners to reach safely.
1-0 pitch. Outside again, and Barry's been throwing a lot of balls here in the first inning.
Yeah, and a lot of them aren't missing by just a little. For example, that last pitch missed by quite a bit.
2-0 pitch. Gotta be inside, and 3-0 count now with 2 runners on.
I think she's gotten to 3 balls on almost every hitter so far.
There's a 3-0. Gonna swing at that one. Goes into center field. Hits the wall, and that's going to be an RBI double.
And you know, on a 3-0 pitch with a pitcher who is missing the zone a lot, I'm surprised that she had the green light. I think the Buckeyes are happy she had the green light with that ball off the wall.
Yeah, usually when you see the 3-0 count with how many balls that Barry's been throwing, usually the batters will stay back and at least let that one go in the zone or out of the zone.
Yeah, and I think she saw it was right where she wanted it to be, so took advantage.
Morgan Fry up to bat now for the Buckeyes with Farley on second, Milliken on third.
Morgan Fry's been a great addition to the Buckeye lineup. She's transferred here from a school in Georgia and is in law school, which being a D1 athlete in law school is quite impressive that she's able to balance that. Going into environmental law.
Meanwhile, while she's doing that, also batting .414 on the season, 1.434 OPS. In this situation, with runners in scoring position, batting .400 when it comes to that.
I feel like we've talked about that a lot. 2-out averages and averages with batters in scoring position. And I feel like every time you mention that, from both sides, the averages are quite high.
They really have been. Buckeyes 2 for 2 with 2 outs here in the bottom of the first inning.
And again, scoring with 2 outs. You notice the infield is playing very deep. Morgan Fry can really crush the ball.
Fry definitely a tough out, as that one's going to be a ball. 2-0. Here's a 2-0 pitch, outside again, 3-0 count.
And this is one of those situations where you have first base open with a big power hitter up to bat with 2 outs. This is a situation where if you walk her, it's not going to be the worst thing in the world. And if you notice, all 4 of those pitches were in the other zone, and the coach came out right before that at bat. I'm sure she told her she'd like to intentionally walk her there. And while it wasn't a blatant intentional walk, I think she threw those on purpose.
Not only that, but Fry's not someone with the craziest speed in the world, so it kind of opens up a force out at second, too, if the ball lands that way on a ground ball.
Yeah, and I mean, that creates a much better situation for the defense of having bases loaded versus just runners on second and third. Looks like they're going to make a pitching change here.
Brianna Copeland coming back in.
She did this in the first game. She went from playing first base to going in the circle.
We'll be right back after this pitching change here at Big Ten Plus. Don't go anywhere. Brianna Copeland pitching now for the Indiana Hoosiers. Bases loaded, and Skylar Lamone up to bat.
Brianna Copeland just pitched the first game. Came out for a few innings to play first base and then came back in to finish that game. And Hoosiers don't want to mess around. Ohio State was taking advantage of the balls that Barry was throwing. Quickly realized they need to make that change.
Well, and Copeland had some really strong innings back in the first game as well.
She did, and Copeland has a lot of confidence as a senior pitcher, having a great year last year. The last 2 years taking the Hoosiers to postseason appearances. She's a lot of confidence. She has a lot of composure. She's not bothered by the fact that, you know, she gave up a few home runs. She responded with a home run of her own last game. So she has a really good mound presence.
Definitely got to have one in situations like these with the bases loaded. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That one hit up past second base, and that's going to score 2 runs. 2 RBI single from Skylar Lamone.
You know, I think any player would tell you, any really competitive player, that's the situation you want to be in. You know, bases loaded, 2 outs. Whether you're a pitcher, that's where you can shine. Whether you're the hitter, it's those moments that you put all that practice in for.
Looks like they're doing another pitching change here.
So it looks like they brought in Copeland just to face that one hitter. I'm wondering if that was their plan from the start, to just have her face that one hitter, or if they realized maybe they made the wrong choice at the switch, decided to switch back.
Janae Berry back in the circle here for the Hoosiers.
And it looks like Barry just popped over to first base so that she didn't have to completely come out of the game. So it looks like maybe that was their plan from the start, was to just face one.
Taylor Cruz in the box for the Buckeyes. Last game had a 3-run homer. First pitch is going to be called as a strike.
There's that off-speed pitch. That's so important to keep these Buckeye hitters off balance.
Lamone on first, Fry on second, third base empty. Here's the 0-1. That one hit up into right field. Coming down with the ball is going to be Kinsey Mitchell, and 0-1 count.
Hoosiers really need to make up for some of that damage done last inning. Starting off with a base runner would be really helpful here.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. That one going to be grounded to short, and able to make a play on that one is Cami Korda cracks first out.
Cami does a great job of a lot of ground. You can see where she started. She fielded that almost up the middle.
Now up to bat for the Hoosiers, right fielder Kinsey Mitchell. .395 average for Indiana this season. That one's a ball.
4 players from Ohio.
Chết rồi, chết rồi. Rồi. Cháy rồi. Nhanh thế. Bảo nó xuống hơn rồi.
That one's going to be a strike, and Kay this year 57
Bác mẹ à?
innings pitched heading into today and 2 complete games.
Bác mẹ đi xuống nào.
She's seen her fair share of games this season.
Starting to hit her stride with having had to battle through some injuries. She's worked really hard to build back from that.
2-1 count for Mitchell. She's going to swing at that one, fouled back into the stands. Looks like Fan caught that one. We didn't see any in the first game, but coming down with that one, give him a gold glove.
First fan catch of the day. I feel like you should get to keep it.
Yeah, a little souvenir. That one going to get fouled back into the bleachers, too.
Oh, missed that one.
Not so lucky in that one. It's really tough to palm a softball anyways.
Yeah, he had his water in the other hand, so didn't try one-handed there.
Got to use the cup. That's your glove in that situation. 2-2, still the count. Mitchell holding off on that one. Full count now for her.
Kay really likes to work the outside corner. So when lefties are up, she likes to work that screwball. When right-handers are up, she likes to work that curveball. She also has rise and change up that she mixes in there.
Payoff pitch. That one floating into the bleachers as well. 3-2, still the count.
Mitchell really battling. 3 foul balls so far.
She battled and it paid off. That's going to be a walk for her, and she's going to take first base. Now up to bat here for the Hoosiers, Cassidy Kettleman. Didn't start in the first game, but getting her crack at the lineup here in the 8-hole in this one.
It was a great at-bat by Mitchell, pulling a lot of pitches from Kay. It's an advantage there.
Tries to lay down the bunt there. Fouls that one off, 0-1.
You could hear the whole infield yelling bunt. Just great communication.
Mitchell's on first, and with how many stolen bases the Hoosiers have, kind of surprising to see that she doesn't have one this year yet.
Only one attempt.
Got a swing at the second pitch, make it an 0-2 count with that foul ball.
A little surprising too, being that she is a slapper.
Kettleman, this is her 10th at-bat of the year, has 3 RBIs and 3 walks in those at-bats. That one going to line out to left field, going to be called for an out. Mitchell going to stay on first, 2 outs now.
It looked like Parisian was playing a little bit shallow, which really helped her be able to charge in and catch that ball.
Madeline Strader in the game now for Indiana, playing third base. She moved down in the lineup. First game was at the 8-hole, now moving down to 9. Strader with a 441 batting average this season, over 1,000 OPS, and with runners on base batting 394.
That high stat again with runners on base.
Indiana, a team with a high batting average. 2-0 count.
Kay coming inside a lot on Strader.
Next pitch going to be called a strike. 2-1 count now. Kay with a strikeout and a walk, and 1 2/3 innings pitched so far today.
That strikeout came to end the inning, last inning, which came in a really great moment.
Here's the pitch. That one fouled back. Over the bleachers. 2-2 now. Righty on lefty matchup. 2-2 count, 2 outs this inning. Going to check swing on that. Deemed that she didn't go. Full count for the Hoosiers. Strader doing a good job of working that count.
Yeah, Kay has gone to full count now quite a bit.
She's going to swing on that one and flies right into the glove of Parisian. That's going to end the hit the netting right in front of the Hoosiers dugout for foul ball number 1. Started with a 4-0 walk in the first inning.
And while that wasn't a great pitch, it was a strike. Foul balls count as a strike, and it gives her an advantage to get ahead.
And that's another foul ball, so even more of an advantage now for Barry as Parisians at 0-2 now.
Barry really needs to take advantage of this 0-2 situation. Try and get Parisian to swing at something less than ideal. Start off with an out.
Here's the 0-2. Outside of a plate, 1-2 now.
And that was a great 0-2 pitch that it's just missing. Nothing too good that Parisian can really make good contact with, but close enough.
Inside pitch, 2-2 now.
I really like that off-speed call again. And it's good that she's keeping it low. But again, now she's at 2-2. She really needs to come at this batter.
Parisian extended her walk lead in the Big Ten from 27 to 28 in the first game. Here's the 2-2 pitch. That one outside. We got a full count now.
And Barry does not want to start with Parisian on first again, just like last inning. That resulted in 4 runs for the Buckeyes.
Parisian with a .592 average when she does lead off. Here's the pitch. That one with a lot of exit velo, but fouls off.
She's ready to swing. She doesn't want to get walked. She wants a good pitch in there that she can connect with.
Here's a payoff pitch from Barry. That one getting fouled back.
I do like how she is changing speeds. I think she could have more success if she was able to throw those change of speeds a little more consistently to her spots.
Parisian battling now.
She's actually from Indiana.
She's going to foul that one off now, too. Nice at-bat put together by Ohio State's leadoff hitter.
Janae Berry is from Arizona. Coming a far way to travel. She also played golf in high school. And she is majoring in occupational therapy.
Here's the pitch. That one's outside, and Parisian going to first for her second walk of the day, of this game.
Looks like Barry has the second highest innings pitched for the Hoosiers. So So in these doubleheader situations, she's probably getting that start in the second game.
Sammy Buick up to bat now. First pitch called for a strike.
And the infield looks pretty deep again, despite it being a possible bunting situation.
Parisi on first. 0-1 count. Barry deals. That one hit right to short off the hop. Not able to get a clean field on that is Alex Cooper. And now there's 2 aboard here for Ohio State with 0 outs.
That's, you almost don't want to call that an error. It was hit extremely hard. Really tough ball to handle.
Well, and off the hop too, when the ball's coming in that fast, really tough to field that one.
Yeah. Took an odd hop. Came up and hit her in the chest.
Now up for the Buckeyes, Cami Kortokrax.
Looks like there was an issue with the one-way communication watch. Switching it out. Again, it's nice to have those pieces of technology to help the game move quicker.
Kortokrax flew out at her first at-bat last inning. Gets another chance here with runners on first and second. Buick at first, Parisian at plate number 2. That's going to be called for a strike on the 0-1. Kortokrax with runners in scoring position this year, batting .286. We got a 1-1 count now.
This is, as a pitcher, having Cami Kortokrax up with 2 runners on base is not the ideal situation. And even if she gets through Kortokrax, she's got Jazzy Burns and Reagan Milliken and Caitlin Farley right after. So really tough lineup right here.
Pitcher's just running through the gauntlet with Ohio State's hitting. That one going to be inside as well, so we're going to have a 3-1 count now to Kortokrax with 2 runners on.
So that hitter's count, really important not to walk her, but it's also really important not to groove that pitch right down the middle. Kortokrax is ready.
That one going to be off of the plate, and bases are going to be loaded again for Ohio State here in the second.
And this is that situation we talked about with your cleanup hitter up with bases loaded.
Jazzy Burns up to bat now and cleanup, and we saw a similar situation back in the first game. But Burns, someone who can do a lot of damage here with 46 RBIs on the season.
Looks like they might be making another change.
Yeah, looks like Copeland's going back in the circle for the Hoosiers. We saw that back in the first inning when bases got loaded, and then after there was a hit, Copeland went back to first base.
And this time, it looks like Josie Bird enters the game at first. And Janae Berry is out of the game.
We saw Bird back in the first game for the Hoosiers as well. Didn't hit, but fielded at first base. Heading into today's matchup, Janae Berry, 2.19 ERA, and her whip's gone up significantly, barely over 1 heading into today, all the way up to almost a 1.3 now.
Yeah, that giving up 4 runs in the first inning, although I'm not sure all of those were earned. Nope, them coming on 2 outs. Their error came in this inning, though. So the way that ERA works, when you give up 4 runs in 1 inning, that really takes a hard hit on that ERA.
Certainly does, and Jazzy Burns up to bat now. Things don't get any easier here for the Hoosiers. 0 outs, cleanup hitter up for the Buckeyes. Loaded bases.
Including Brianna Copeland's start. I think this might be the 5th time she's entered the circle.
First pitch gonna be inside, 1-0 count to Burns. You gotta imagine, definitely don't want to walk in a run here, so it's really a thin line to walk across.
Yeah, she's just got to come at her and let her defense do the work. Now that was a strike, but that was a scary strike. I think Copeland is probably happy Burns chose not to swing at that.
Here's the 1-1, called for a ball, 2-1 now. Quarter cracks on first, Buick on second, Parisian on third. 1, 2, and 3 batters on base for the Buckeyes to start out the second inning. Here's the pitch. Roped and split between third and short, and that's going to be an RBI single for Jazzy Burns.
You got to wonder in this situation, I've not seen Brianna Copeland have an opportunity to stay warm while she's been playing first base. She's either been up to bat or on the field at first, and I'm wondering if that's playing a little bit into the inconsistencies of her pitches, although she has thrown quite a few pitches today.
Reagan Milliken up to bat, first baseman for Ohio State. Got hit by a pitch last inning. She's going to swing and foul that one away. Milliken with a .478 average with runners in scoring position this season for the Buckeyes.
And I think that was the first run they've scored today, the Buckeyes, that came on less than 2 outs.
Yeah, it'd been doing a lot of damage today when the pressure is super high, and now working with 0 outs, bases loaded. There's so many different routes you can go now to try to score runs, as that one's a little high, called for a ball.
Bases loaded again, so Milliken can certainly take advantage here.
1-2 pitch. Check swing. Gonna be called a ball, and we got a 2-2 count now.
There's been a lot of asks on that check swing today. I think if the back of the bat doesn't break, it's not considered a check swing.
And that one just skips in front of a plate, and we saw that a little bit from Copeland here in the first game, and now we got a full count.
I think she's trying to throw that off-speed changeup, and that's a common mistake made on changeups, is they can tend to bounce quite a bit.
3-2 count, bases loaded. Milliken fouls that one back, and 3-2 count with bases loaded. No pressure.
Oh, that's the ideal situation. I believe last time Brianna Copeland was in this situation, she gave up a 2-run hit.
That's going to be an RBI walk for Milliken as Buick trots in home. Buckeyes now leading 6-1.
Farley's had quite a day. She had a ball off the wall last inning. Had a solid first game as well.
RBI double for Farley. All the way back in the first inning. First pitch is going to be a strike, so 0-1. Still 0 outs for the Buckeyes here in this one.
Now you can hope for the Hoosiers that Copeland is maybe getting warmed up.
That's a hard hit down the first base line. That's going to score 1. Base is still going to be loaded, and that's an RBI single for Caitlin Farley. Quartercrack's able to score on that one. Now Burns on third, Milliken on second, Farley on first. There's going to be an infield meeting after that, and Buckeyes up 7-1 now into second.
I like how the catcher is bringing everyone together, try and keep things from getting out of hand. Bringing them together to let them know, you know, they have the bats to make up for this.
They certainly do, and one big inning from the Hoosiers, and we got a tightly contested game. So far, the Buckeyes have really taken advantage in this one. Morgan Fry up to bat now for Ohio State. That one skips across the plate, too, for a 1-0 count. Home plate umpire Sergio Villarreal, first base Antonio Flores, and third base ump Joe Havenhill. That one's called for a strike, 1-1 now.
Almost seems as Copeland is getting warmed up. Her pitches appear to be coming in a little quicker.
That one was quick as well, but goes a little inside.
And at this point, all you want is for your pitcher to be throwing strikes. And I think there might be some frustration from the coaching staff that they just need to let their defense do the work, knowing that Ohio State can hit the ball.
Well, and not only that, but they also have a discipline to not chase pitches. Like you see with Fry, who's up right now, she walked back in the first, and we've seen an RBI walk already in this inning. So it's really tough to try to get a team that hits the ball so well, hits it hard, and also has plate discipline to get out of an inning like this.
You know, in talking to Coach Stanton earlier this week, I asked her how she was going to defend against Ohio State's leading the team that's leading the country in home runs, and she said, you know, we're going to let them have their home runs. We're just going to score more. We need to get out there and we need to make the routine plays and throw strikes, and I think that's likely what she's telling Copeland now is just throw strikes, let your defense do the work, you get those runs back. You know, try and keep this in a manageable range. You know, Ohio State's been known to score a lot no matter the team. Last weekend they beat Michigan State 24-2, so they're certainly capable of racking up quite a bit.
2-1 pitch. That one inside. Got a 3-1 count now to Morgan Fry. Farley on first, Milliken on second, Burns at third. Still 0 outs in this bottom of the second.
Even the infield playing in to try and cut off that run at home on a ground ball.
Fry takes a swing on that one, flies back over the dugout of the Hoosiers.
Although at this point, any out would be helpful.
Full count now. Swung on that one, goes into right center field, able to make the catch, and Burns thought about going home for a second, but gonna stay at third for the first out for the Hoosiers this inning.
Even in those tag-up situations, you always want to act like you're heading home to draw the throw. You never know when that throw can get wild and you can get a freebie run in there.
Skylar Lamone back up to the plate for Ohio State. Junior center fielder, and last time up to bat had a single and scored 2 runs in the process.
Now, Copeland started off with a nice strike there. She needs to continue.
That one's going to be called for a strike as well. 0-2 count now.
Those 2 pitches right in there.
It's definitely a good count for Copeland to be in here. She delivers again. That one's going to be a ball outside.
And at this point, with it being 1 and 2, I'd say no more messing around. Just go right at her. We're at the bottom of the lineup and need to get those outs.
Here's the pitch, outside again, 2-2 now. Lamone with a 417. Average with runners in scoring position. She's got 2 here in the bottom of the second. Next pitch. Off again, and it's going to be a full count. Lamone working back from 0-2.
Here we are again. Copeland's throwing a lot of pitches today. She's going deep in the count. This is going to be hard to keep up with for the whole game.
That one goes high. Lamone's going to get an RBI walk. Burns is going to walk down to home plate. And the Buckeyes scorching hot to start off the second game of a doubleheader.
They have had 6 hits, but it seems to be the walks that are really doing a lot of damage now.
Taylor Cruz up to bat now. She takes a big swing on the first pitch. Going to be an 0-1 count.
Copeland has started off most of the at-bats with a strike, but then tends to fall behind.
That one going to be called a strike as well. 0-2 count. Look back to what Lamone just did. She was down 0-2 and then 4 balls in a row. That one going to be high. 1-2 now.
And you know, an 0-2 pitch is called a waste pitch. Sometimes that's not always the right call, especially with Copeland having thrown so many pitches. It might be just the best strategy to go right at her.
That one popping up out of field of play just by the Hoosiers dugout. Still 1-2. Lamone on first now. Farley on second. Milliken on third. 4 runs this inning for the Buckeyes. 1 out. Here's a pitch from Copeland. That one going to be called as a strikeout. And Brianna Copeland with a nice pitching sequence there.
Yeah, and that was one that she didn't let herself get deep in the count. And you see how it worked to her advantage. All day we've seen that. When the pitchers are getting deep in the count is when those big hits come and mistakes are made.
Parisian back up to bat. Seems like so long ago when she was at bat last time, but she actually walked here in the top of the second inning.
So we're now in the 3rd time through the lineup, just in the 2nd inning.
Here's a pitch to Parisian. Ground ball to second. Able to make the play as Van Brandt, and the Hoosiers get out of this inning, but damage definitely done in the second.
Yeah, the Hoosiers really need to jump right out here and get some action going if they want to stay in this game.
That's a nice piece of hitting there by Brianna Copeland. Just foul, though.
It's not common to see a pitcher be the leadoff batter. Not only is she the leadoff, but she also has 11 out of 11 stolen bases, which is also uncommon to see from your pitcher.
1-1 count for Brianna Copeland now. Busy day here on the diamond in Columbus. The baseball team playing a doubleheader as well against the Oregon Ducks, down 7-6 right now. There's a pop-up in the infield. Going to be caught there by Farley to get the first out of the inning.
And those really high infield pop-ups can be really tricky on the communication and who should catch that. And there's been a couple of those situations happen today. You notice how Kennedy K really just got out of the way. It's not the last person you want catching those is your pitcher. There's the mound in the way. Everything's behind her. She can't see the field as well as those that are coming in. She did a good job there.
Big swing and miss there, and Burns wasn't even able to hold on to that pitch there. I want to count to Minnick, and she's been held under control, at least to her standards, in the games today.
Yeah, she's been on base quite a bit. I don't know that she's gotten any really big hits. In fact, I'm not sure she's had any hits.
Lays a bunt there. That one fouls backwards. 0-2 count now.
Definitely trying to do whatever she can to get on. sign of a really strong player.
Minnick with 21 walks this year as well. She swings at that one. 0-2 again. And a 602 on base percentage to go along with a 488 average.
Yeah, and I know those walks have gone up today. She's gotten walked at least once.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Minnick hit that one's high up in the air. Goes into the stands. 0-2 count
Did she
again.
catch it?
I think it fell right into her lap.
Yeah, I think so.
She ducked and flinched and still ended up
did.
catching it.
Oh, they give him a sticker in exchange for the ball. That's nice. At least they get something for the good catch. Uh-oh.
Big hit there. Gonna go foul ball. Yeah, I feel like I'd rather have a softball than a sticker, but
Yeah.
maybe that's just me. I guess not a bad consolation prize.
Yeah. At least it's something for having a bruised hand.
0-2 pitch once more. Minnick fouls that one as well. Goes out of play again, so Minnick, even though it's an 0-2 count, has really been fighting off pitches.
And these foul balls are going extremely high. Can't help but thinking she's trying to get it to go high the other direction.
She almost did with one of them when it got hooked right a little bit.
Yeah, she's turning hard.
0-2 again.
There
And
it
that
is.
one hit hard by Minnick down in the right field, and it's going to be a solo shot for Taylor Minnick, her 9th of the year.
Not surprised at all after the 3 hard foul balls that she finally connected with one. She had an idea in her head when she got up there that she's going to put a number on that board. It was a great at bat, a great couple swings there, and finally connected with the pitch she wanted.
Well, and if you're a pitcher in that situation, 0-2, and you know the batter wants to take it deep, what do you really have to change there?
I mean, you got to change the speed. You got to put extra spin on it. Maybe you make it, a little extra outside, roll one in, something that isn't hittable. When they have 3 solid foul balls, you really want to make something pretty different.
Catcher Avery Parker in the 3-hole once again. Going to take ball number 1.
I'm guessing Kay meant to throw something a little less hittable, and sometimes it's hard to hit spots 100% of the time, and balls do tend to go down the middle sometimes.
It's going to split third and short for a single for Avery Parker. Has a double and a single now in this game.
And this is where Indiana is now thinking they're back in the game, and the Buckeyes need to really bear down and get these last 2 outs of the inning to not let it bleed too much.
Looks like there's going to be a talk at home plate.
They're putting in a pinch runner. Peyton Drummond again. She pinch ran last game as well. Stanton trying to make as much happen as possible, get those runs up there.
Shonda Stanton in her 8th year with the Hoosiers. Also had a long tenure with the Marshall Thundering Herd, and has had a lot of success everywhere she's been so far.
Especially in recent years. Stanton's led her team to postseason. Brought Indiana softball back to getting familiar with postseason play.
Lena Wilkinson up to bat. Has a 1-1 count to work with.
Postseason in the Big Ten is a little more difficult this year. In the past, there were 14 teams and 12 made it to the Big Ten tournament. So all you had to do was finish not in the last 2. This year, it's the same number of teams making the tournament, but now there's 3 extra teams. So now there's 5 teams that will not make the Big Ten tournament.
Well, to make it even harder, too, is that the teams that aren't in the Midwest that are coming in from the Pac-12, you got UCLA and Oregon that are both top 10 right now, and then Washington, another team that's, really solid when it comes to softball, and then Of course, as we talked about, USC not having that softball team, those 3 teams coming in for softball are really competitive.
Yeah, those are 3 teams that stand a pretty strong chance to make that Big Ten tournament, making it even harder for the rest of the Big Ten. But it makes that conference a lot stronger. And Ohio State actually will go out to play UCLA this week out in California. And that travel can't be easy. Missing class, 3 time zones away. Indiana will be ending their season with a series against Oregon. So that will, I'm sure, be a pivotal weekend for them against one of the stronger teams in the conference.
Well, and speaking as someone who's from the Pacific Northwest, definitely not the most pleasant travel as well. It takes a pretty long time to get out there and back and adjust to the time zones too.
Yeah, and they can't spend too much time out there because these girls are all still in classes.
Here's the full count pitch. Goes to third. Can they turn a double play? They'll get 1 out at second, but Wilkeson going to reach on a fielder's choice.
And that Drummond, the pinch runner, got a really great jump. She actually almost beat that throw. Luckily, Wilkeson hit a pretty solid shot for the Buckeyes to make that play quickly.
Alex Cooper up to back, struck out in the first inning. 2 outs, runner on first. She's going to foul that one back.
Alex Cooper had a really strong game at the plate last game. Moved up in the lineup this game. Trying to get something going here.
Here's the 0-1. Lays down a bunt to the left side. Cooper sprinting to first. She got there in time on the bunt.
That was a beautifully laid bunt. She saw an opening where the corners were playing back a little bit. Put it right in that spot where no one was, and her speed, she was able to beat that out.
Couldn't have said it any better. Perfectly located. Allie Van Brandt up to bat again for Indiana. Grounded out in the second last time she was up. First pitch called a ball. Cooper on first, Wilkeson on second, working with 2 outs. Trying to get some of that 2-out magic that the Buckeyes have been having today. Hoosiers so far 2 for 5 with 2 outs. That one hit up in the air on the third base side. Able to make a play on it is Sammy Buick, and with 2 runners on, Buckeyes going to get out of the top of the third, and we'll be right back here on Big Ten Plus for the bottom of it. Count now. Buick 1 for 2 today, had a single last inning. He's had a batting appearance in every single inning so far. Has a nice count now, 3-0.
I got to imagine Copeland has thrown so many pitches today. The first game and going deep in a lot of counts, and now this game. Still looks like she's throwing pretty hard. She will get that day off tomorrow before having to throw again on Monday. I think it's rare for during Big Ten season to get that day off.
Buick fouled that one off.
Looks like she fouled it off into her leg.
Almost got hit in her leg, and now got to shake off a foul tip now.
And she's not one that has the protective guard. You see several batters that have that shin guard on for that situation, but Buick does not have that on.
Can't imagine that feels good.
No. Especially with how hard she hit that. Came off her leg and made it to shortstop.
Here's a 3-2 pitch. Buick gonna swing at that one. Looks like it was fouled off, so we'll be back again with a full count. Buick batting .394 this year. .368 average when leading off. Payoff pitch. Going to be a walk. Buick taking her base at first. That's going to bring up Cami Kortokrax now for the Buckeyes.
Cami has been kind of the face of the Buckeyes. A lot of girls looking up to her. She's local. She's from Westerville, which is about 20 minutes away. Went to Bishop Hartley, a local Catholic high school. This is her last season, majoring in communication.
Really, what a tone she's set for the program, even with a new head coach, really leaving her mark on the program, and still plenty of softball left to play this season.
And I think she's been one that's been instrumental in the team building trust towards the new coaching staff. It's so important when you have a new coaching staff that the players trust in that.
She's going to hit that one over to Strader and trying to turn the double play. Going to get the runner out at second, but Kortokrax is going to reach safely on the fielder's choice at first.
Kortokrax has really led that team in the trust to the new coaching staff. She's a leader on this team and a captain, and I think that's been instrumental in everybody buying into 2K's methods.
Jazzy Burns batting now for the Buckeyes. Both of her at-bats, singles, have led to an RBI. Up to 47 RBIs on the year.
Yeah, Jazzy Burns being a sophomore, can't really tell with the way the confidence that she has in the box, and the way she swings the bat. You can tell all of them swing the bat so hard.
They really do. Burns on a 1-2 count now.
I think that takes time to settle in. I know at the beginning of the season they weren't connecting as well and they had more strikeouts. Now everybody's getting used to. Gets hit by a pitch again, not happy about it.
Wouldn't be either. That one came in high.
It did.
Burns going to first. Kortokrax moving her way over to second, and just like that, the Buckeyes have 2 runners on.
Looks like the trainer's coming out to check her out. Might have to be a situation for a pinch runner.
Yeah, especially when you're catching the ball on defense as well. Definitely going to hurt a lot more when you're crouching down behind the plate.
Jogging it out a little bit. He's going to have a nice bruise there tomorrow.
So with runners on first and second, Reagan Milliken up to bat now for Ohio State, the 5-hole hitter, first baseman, and a senior. She's reached twice in this one. Back in the first, she got hit by a pitch, and then in the second, she was able to draw a walk, which was also an RBI for her.
We have seen a really good amount of hit by pitches today. That one just adding to it.
Here's the first pitch to Milliken. That one fouled back.
Copeland does not look at all rattled by that hit by pitch. She's ready to get at it.
A 1 delivery. That one goes hard into left field, but gonna hook foul.
Another really strong swing.
Got an 0-2 count now, 1 out. Runners on first and second, so if a double play is in order here, as an option.
Milliken did redshirt last year. She, at the first tournament, was not able to play. Could have possibly come back mid-season, but decided instead on redshirting. And that has worked out well. She will have another year of eligibility after this year, although she will be graduating. So has some options there and continuing if she wants. I think all the girls are having a lot of fun this year.
1-2 pitch. Going to shallow left, and Hoosiers able to make a play on that. So 2 outs now with runners on first and second, and that play was made by the shortstop, Alex Cooper.
Something Coach 2K mentioned was that part of the reason these girls are having success right now is because they're having a lot of fun. They're having fun playing the game. And it's not the home runs and the good plays. It's that they get along. They like being around each other. They love playing the game. And they're confident. So certainly when you can get in there and have fun, that makes a really big difference to your performance. She's also taken a lot of stress off of their pitching staff, letting them know she knows they're not experienced, and to just keep them in the game, and they've done a great job doing that.
Farley's going to pop out to Cooper. That's going to end the inning, and we've seen a pretty solid outing so far.
Kenzie Mitchell is a senior for the Hoosiers. She's had a pretty solid career, playing in a lot of games. Last year, she only made it through half the season before having an injury that ended her season. But she's come back strong. She was a slapper, and now has come back more as a power hitter.
Here's the 1-1. High up there, 2-1 count now.
Coach Stanton mentioned how hard Mitchell has worked to come back from her injury, and what an uphill battle it has been, but how it's really paid off, which is shown by the year that she's had.
Yeah, 395 average, over 1,000 OPS. Can't ask for much more out of your right fielder.
Yeah, 8 doubles, 23 RBIs. I think she was probably previously a base stealer, but I think that injury has thwarted that a little bit for her, but she's come up with other ways to be successful and help the team.
Full count for Mitchell. Kay deals. Gonna foul that one out. Into the bleachers again.
Now the second game in, it looks like the fans are getting on board and making some catches.
Yeah, they're locked in now. No one brought their glove either.
I've seen a few younger players come with gloves on, but I don't think they're hitting the ball in that direction.
We need to see a snow cone type of play.
Yeah.
As Mitchell's going to draw a walk on that full count. She's going to reach first base, 0 outs, so Hoosiers definitely have something to work with now. Team that gets a lot of hits, and getting runners on is kind of essential for that when you're getting hits, to drive in runs.
Looks like they're putting in a pinch runner, Hannah Haberstroh, freshman.
Haberstroh with a stolen base this year for the Hoosiers in her 1 attempt. Scored 6 runs for them this season.
And I'm not sure that this is a situation to be stealing. With being down by 6, they're going to need more, not run into outs.
Bird going to be taking this at bat over Kettleman. And although she played in the first game, I believe this is Josie Bird's first at bat today.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen her hit today.
Here's 1-1. She pops that into center field. That one's deep in. That's going to go over the wall. Home run. Hoosiers.
And that's what you want when you have a pinch hitter in that situation. Couldn't ask for anything more than that.
Josie Bird, the freshman, getting it done for Indiana.
I thought originally that was going to be an out to the center fielder. That ball kept going up and up.
Well, it seemed like it was going to die at some point. It just, I guess eventually it did, but it died over the wall.
Yeah. I've seen quite a few shots out to center field today.
4-8 game now.
Looks like there's going to be a pitching change here.
Looks like coming in for the Buckeyes is Lena Gerhard. And we're going to be right back after that 2-run shot from Bird. 8-4, Buckeyes still lead. Lena Gerhard in for Kay, and Gerhard this year 3.64 ERA and a 183 whip.
Lena has a nice curveball. She comes in throwing really hard. Maybe one of the harder on the staff. From Delaware. Just a freshman. Has come a really long way since the beginning of the season, really earning a lot more innings. Got one of the wins over Nebraska 2 weeks ago.
Madeline Strader in the box for the Hoosiers. Lefty batter. Gonna get called for a strike there. 0-2 count. And going back to that home run that Josie Bird hit, wasn't aware of it, but that was her first career home run. And what a home run that was, a 2-run shot.
It certainly brings the game back a little bit into a much closer game. 4 runs is a big difference.
Still 0 outs. Hoosiers already have 2 runs in this inning. They scored in every inning except for the second so far. Here's the pitch, and struck out looking. That's the first strikeout for Gerhard today.
It sets such a great tone when a pitcher comes in, especially after a home run, to get that strikeout.
Hoosiers back to the top of their lineup now. Brianna Copeland up to bat for Indiana. 0 for 2 today.
Just doing a good job of keeping that ball low. Again, keeping the ball inside the fences is important.
It's going to be a strike called. 1-1 count now. And when you're looking at Gerhardt's stats on the year, she's pitched 40 2/3 innings and has 43 strikeouts. So her strikeouts per 7 above 1.
That comes a lot from her speed.
2-1 count now to Copeland. 1 out after that Gerhardt strikeout. That one going to be called for a strike as well. Even count at 2-2. Copeland smacks that one in between short and third, and that's going to be a base hit for her first of this game.
It's nice as a pitcher to be able to turn around and be able to earn your team some runs too on the offensive side. And that's not super common for pitchers to be able to do that. I think all of Ohio State's pitchers do not hit.
Taylor Minnick back up for the Hoosiers, and if you don't remember, she smacked a home run deep back in the 3rd inning and had a lot of hard hits of that at bat.
Yeah, she had quite a few foul balls to find that pitch she wanted.
It's going to be called for a strike. 0-2 count now for Minnick. It feels like she's had a lot of these 0-2 counts, but really fights them off.
Yeah, she does tend to get to that 0-2, but it doesn't seem to be an issue for her.
Just like that, going to be a ball. 1-2. Copeland on first.
Change of speed would be really nice to keep her off balance.
Swing and a miss there. That's going to be another strikeout for Gerhardt this inning.
That was a great pitch by her. A really nice rise ball when she noticed Minnick was being really aggressive up there. Had a lot of heat on it. Gerhardt's doing exactly what a pitcher coming in the middle of the inning should do.
Avery Parker with a hard hit to right field and nice grab.
Morgan Fry has a lot of extra base hits.
And there's
And there could be another.
a shot that might be a base hit, and looks like she's going to go 2. Hesitated a little bit. She dives to the ground. That's going to be safe at second.
That was a close call.
There's some hesitation there, too. She thought about staying at first, but decided to go anyways.
Just as I was saying, she's extra base hits and went ahead and got another one. That brings her to, I think, 9 doubles.
Literally a second after you said that, she got an extra base hit. Skylar Lamone up to bat, 1 for 1 today, and drew a walk in the second. Has 3 RBIs in this second game of this doubleheader.
She had a solid game last game. It's really comforting when the bottom of your lineup is still really solid.
2-0 count for her to work with as well, with a runner in scoring position on second.
The 7th hitter in the lineup hitting over 400 in Morgan Fry. And then Skylar Lamone with a .338 batting average on the year.
She lays the bunt, but the ball doesn't really move at all after she laid that one. 2-1 count still for Lamone. .516 on base percentage for a center fielder. Here's a 2-1 pitch from Copeland. That one goes into right center and shallow enough for second baseman Allie Van Brandt to catch that ball. Now up to bat, Taylor Cruz for the Buckeyes. Their right fielder.
And Taylor Cruz with 10 home runs on the year. Not a common number for your number 9 hitter. Just really solid numbers.
Yeah, one of those home runs came in the first game where she had that 3-run homer. 0 for 2 in this one. She swings, goes right back to Copeland. She fakes to second, goes to first, and Cruz gonna be out at first.
She thought maybe she avoided that tag. They might be questioning that.
Looked like a little game of tag there at first base. Both managers are on the field now in this one. Now looks like Stanton's talking it over with the umpire crew, and now they're talking. I'm not sure if maybe you saw a better angle of that, but from your vantage point, did it look like she got tagged out on that?
I thought she got her. I thought she got that tag, and if she didn't, she got pretty far out of the way. They're calling her out.
Coach 2K still on the field.
See if they're going to review it.
Looks like they are going to review this call, and you hear Tricky playing in the background, and yeah, this is kind of a tricky call to see what happens there, because an out there for Indiana would have been huge.
Yeah, Indiana really needs this out. Put them at 2 outs. They are anxious to get back in there and get their bats going again. Ohio State would be huge for Ohio State to have her be safe with 1 out and 2 runners on. They're anxious to get more runs on the board as well. Looks like Morgan Fry might have got a bit scraped up on her slide. Trainers are coming out with some band-aids, some heavy duty band-aids.
Looks like the umpires have made their decision, walking out now. See what the call is. It's going to be ruled as an
Still
out. The game of tag won by the first baseman, Josie Bird.
Gabe, how do you feel about the instant replay?
You know, I think it's good to have in the game with things that are so tight as that. I think it's important to review some of those calls, and it seems like it's more cleanly officiated now, not just only in softball, in a lot of these sports. Mm-hmm. And ask the same of what you would think of it.
I mean, I used to think let the game play how it plays, but I think it's actually great that we get the opportunity to make the right call. You know, there's no need to make a wrong call when we have the ability to look back.
That throw into second, not going to be in time.
I like that idea of throwing that back. There was an All-American catcher here back in the early 2000s who made many throws down to second for outs.
And when you're a pitcher that has a catcher that impactful, what does that mean to the game when you're pitching and also the fielding?
Oh, just to have the confidence to know that if you do give up a hit or let someone on, that you have the defense behind you to cover that and to get those outs, and the offense behind you to get those runs back. Certainly lets you be a little more stress-free in the circle.
Rio with Parisian up right now. 2 walks in this one already. Leads the Big Ten in walks.
That All-American catcher was Stacy Roth, also a great hitter. lot of All-Americans have been through this program.
It certainly won't stop anytime soon as Parisian takes her third walk of this game. Although Limon wasn't able to reach on that first in that challenge, it looks like.
And as we've seen today, the Buckeyes, 2 outs to the Buckeyes doesn't really mean much to them.
It really doesn't. Sammy Buick up to bat now, 1-0 count. She walked at her last at bat in the third. That one going to be called for a strike now, 1-1. Buick 1 for 2 in this one. Had a single back in the second. Here's 1-1 pitch, fouled back.
Buckeyes looking to get at least one up there. Have a rare scoreless inning last inning.
Here's 1-2 pitch. Gonna be called for a ball. Bottom of the fourth stays alive with Parisian on first, Fry on second.
And Copeland has done a better job in these last 2 innings in going right at the hitter. Minus this at bat, hasn't gotten as deep in the count, and it has worked for her.
Full count now, 2 runners on. An out would end this inning. Copeland with the windup, pitches it. Ball flies into shallow right field, able to make a play on that as Van Brandt, and that's going to end the inning. Buckeyes still lead 8-4 here in Columbus, Ohio. We'll be right back for the top of the 5th. Gerhard with a pitch gets fouled back, and Lena Gerhard with 2 strikeouts out of the 3 that she got out last inning. A 1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Wilkeson ahead on that one. 0-2 now.
It's always nice to see that off speed used and be effective.
Here's Gerhard again. That one gets tipped back. Wilkeson stays alive in this count.
Mình không hiểu các bạn ghen rất.
Righty on righty.
Lena is from Delaware, not to be confused with the town of Delaware that's about 30 minutes away, but the actual state of Delaware. She's majoring in Chinese. So that would be interesting. And she is interested also in international business.
Okay, you had me a little lost there at first, but Chinese international business makes a little bit of sense now, for sure.
Yeah, and she wants to go to business school and after graduation and study abroad in China, which majoring in Chinese would be really helpful for that.
Wish I knew the word for strikeout in Chinese, because Gerhard just got another strikeout there, her 3rd of the day.
I'm sure she could let you know what that is.
Definitely gonna ask after the game for sure, as I'm sure if you're studying abroad in China, it probably helps if you know the language.
Yeah. I could look it up, but I still don't think I could probably pronounce it.
Alex Cooper up to bat for the Hoosiers. 1-0.
Alex Cooper has been instrumental in a lot of defensive plays for the Hoosiers. Both teams have had pretty solid defense, only having 1 error each in this game.
Here's the 1-1. Called for a ball, 2-1 now. Cooper singled back in the 3rd. Here's a pitch from Gerhard. That one goes into center field, just to the right of it. Oh, and Able to make that play in center is Lamone.
Made that look pretty easy.
Ben Brandt up for the Hoosiers now 0 for 2 today.
She's been solid defensively as well, with her and Cooper up the middle. Hasn't been a lot of mistakes there and hasn't gotten a lot through. The two of them.
Looking to get something going here in the top of the fifth. Hoosiers still down 4. That one's going to be outside for the 1-1 count. Hoosiers batting .286 in this second game as a team. That one gets fouled back as well.
Jasmine Burns, the catcher, is one of the 8 from California. She's majoring in psychology.
Here's the pitch. Goes high. No runners on, so don't have to worry about that. And 2-2 count.
Jazzy Burns has a very long list of both academic and athletic accomplishments in high school. And I think on her way to the same long list, here's a Buckeye.
That one gonna go into the glove of Quartercracks. That's gonna end the inning. Hoosiers don't score.
And score more runs.
Copeland at 76 pitches in this second game and threw a handful in the first as well. Here's the 1-0 delivery.
I'd like to say it looks like she's getting tired, but it really doesn't. She looks just as strong.
You know, 2 scoreless innings in the third and fourth, trying to make it 3.
It's almost like she's getting stronger as she is going throughout the day.
2-1 count now for Quartercracks. He was 0 for 2 today, walked in the second. Still batting that .383 average. That one gonna get tips back. One of the many Buckeyes with an OPS over 1,000.
Cammie's majoring in communications. Be graduating this spring. She's kind of always lived in this area. You know, helps out with coaching and mental training for young athletes in the area, as well as hitting lessons, and may want to continue doing that after graduation.
That one belted deep into left center field, and say goodbye to that one. Cammie Quartercracks with the solo homer to start off the bottom of the fifth.
You know, the outfielders didn't even take a step. They knew from the get-go that was out. They just kind of turned and watched it. It was a great hard swing by Cammie Quartercracks.
Quartercracks hitting double digits now with that home run. 10th homer of the year.
Also with 8 doubles and a triple, so her extra base hits count is extremely high.
Yeah, those numbers are bonkers. And speaking of crazy numbers, Jasmine Burns up to bat now for the Buckeyes. That ball skips over the plate. Going to be a 1-0 count. Burns 2 for 2 here in this second game and got hit by a pitch in the third inning.
She has 14 home runs and 13 doubles and a triple.
Jazzy Burns gets it through, and that's going to be a single for her. So perfect from the plate in this one. 3 for 3 now.
And now we come down to Reagan Milliken with 12 home runs, 12 doubles, and a triple. These numbers are extremely high for so many of the players.
Milliken in this one hit by a pitch in the first, walked in the second for an RBI. 0 for 1 today. Here's the first pitch. Inside, 1-0.
Reagan, that other player from Pennsylvania.
That one's deep to left field, and say goodbye to that one too. This time courtesy of Reagan Milliken with the 2-run shot.
I think there's been about maybe 7, 8 pitches this inning. Maybe not even. A lot of damage done with those pitches. I said Brianna Copeland was still looking strong, but I got to imagine she's starting to get tired, probably starting to miss her spots a little bit. Looks like she's coming out, but she really did a phenomenal job today with such a good hitting team. The Hoosiers are asking a lot of her. Looks like she's getting her glove and going to head out to first base, possibly.
Still a good fielder at first, and
A great hitter for this team.
great hitter, and seems to be a workhorse in terms of pitching. But we're going to have a quick pitching change and come back here on Big Ten Plus. After a pair of home runs, Hoosiers opt to go for the pitching change and bringing back in Jasmine Reyes. Hasn't pitched in this game, but the first game of a doubleheader, she did have a decent stretch in.
It's a really great changeup that freezes the batters. If she can throw that in there for a strike, it's going to be hard to be successful off of her.
Caitlin Farley batting for the Buckeyes, 2 for 3 today. Has an 0-1 count right now. RBI double in the first, RBI single in the second. There's that changeup that you were talking about, Shane.
Yeah, just a little bit high on that, but batters do not want to swing at that pitch.
Reyes,
If they do, they look pretty silly.
Reyes sporting a 4.06 ERA, 1.45 whip. That one gets hit deep into left field, going back in. The third home run this inning for the Buckeyes. This time, Caitlin Farley take a trot.
Looks like that makes this run differential 8, which is the run rule, 8 after 5 innings. So with that last swing of the bat, gives the Buckeyes their second win of the day.
The Buckeyes, in 5 innings, take the win over the Indiana Hoosiers in this one, 12-4, and walk-off effort by Caitlin Farley to end this one. Ohio State scoring 12 runs in the first game and a whole lot in the first, 12 in the second. And what are just your takeaways from these two teams today?
I mean, I think the Buckeye defense did a great job handling the Hoosier offense. definitely Indiana did a better job taking advantage of their offensive situation of walks and making better contact in the second game, scoring more runs. I think the Buckeye pitchers did a good job of keeping the ball low. I think the Hoosier pitchers did a really good job as well. They just made some mistakes, and the Buckeyes took advantage. Every time there was a pitch that was right in there, the Buckeyes knew to take advantage of that. Bree Copeland was a really confident force on the field, a really nice leader out there, a great leader on the team with her bat. They were able to manage Taylor Minnick and her stats. Certainly, they did a good job with that. And both teams did a very good job on defense, making the routine plays like they were supposed to not let innings get too out of hand. I think those big run innings came from those big hits instead of, mistakes everywhere. What about your thoughts?
Great effort from the Buckeyes. They take 2 wins against Indiana. Already win the series. They'll play again on Monday, but Buckeyes win this game 12-4. I was Gabe Aker, joined alongside Shane Miller.